Have you ever felt like something big is about to happen? That the world, as we know it, is heading toward a breaking point? Strangely enough, even amidst so many crises, signs, and moral collapses, there's still a hidden secret, and it's right where no one is looking. In Matthew 24, yes, Jesus left a detailed map about the end times, but most people interpret this chapter as just a list of tragedies, without realizing the prophetic pattern hidden there, quietly unfolding before our eyes. While many chase apocalyptic predictions, exact dates, and conspiracy theories, the real code of the end lies between the lines of Christ's most urgent sermon. And what makes this even more serious, that secret is being fulfilled now, silently, progressively, but because it doesn't shout, almost no one hears it. We're talking about something far beyond earthquakes or wars, a deep spiritual cycle revealed in Matthew 24 that can transform the way you see the world and your faith. That's why this video is not just another piece of content. It's a prophetic alarm, a spiritual call to arms. We're going to break down, step by step, what Jesus really meant and how his message is more relevant than ever. Get ready, because some of what you thought you knew about the end times will be challenged, and other truths revealed with a clarity you may have never heard before. All of it based on the Word, deeply rooted, without sensationalism, but with the urgency this moment demands. So if you're seeking discernment, if you feel like something in the world is out of place, and want to understand what Jesus truly warned us about in Matthew 24, stay with me, because today, what's been ignored by many will finally be revealed to you. The disciples stood before the greatest teacher in history, and yet, what they most wanted to know was when everything Jesus spoke about would happen. Funny how humanity hasn't changed that much, right? Even today, people anxiously seek dates, predictions, and prophetic timelines as if the truth were hidden in some secret calendar. But Jesus, in his divine wisdom, didn't respond with a day and hour. Instead, he planted a sequence of spiritual truths that, if truly understood, completely change the way we see the present time. Most read Matthew 24 like a checklist of disasters, but there's a hidden secret right there in plain sight. This is where context becomes the key. Jesus doesn't begin his response by speaking of wars or natural disasters. He starts with a warning about deception. Yes, the first sign isn't an earthquake, it's a spiritual deviation. And why is that important? Because it shows us where to keep our focus, on spiritual alertness, not just on news headlines. It's like following a recipe. If you skip the first step, the final result will be a disaster. And many today are skipping precisely that essential beginning. They ignore the order of the signs and, as a result, get lost in a maze of superficial information. Look around you. How many people are more worried about financial collapse, new pandemics, or even conspiracy theories about microchips than about their own spiritual condition? That's no accident. It reflects the loss of focus from the original message of Christ. Just as the disciples wanted to know when, we also want immediate answers. But heaven works with discernment, not with haste. Jesus knew that giving dates would be pointless without first preparing the heart. Here's a clear example. Many people today are obsessed with astrological forecasts or YouTube videos about the end times, yet rarely stop to examine their own lives. They worry about when will it end, but neglect how am I living until then. That's where the real danger lies. The question that echoed from the disciples' mouths still resounds in our time. And Jesus didn't ignore it. He turned it into a wake-up call. He gave us more than an answer. He gave us a spiritual compass. Now, the question is whether we're reading the signs with the right eyes. And that brings us to another point few ever consider. If the first signs are subtle, could we already be living in them? If the beginning of it all is quieter than it is spectacular, maybe the end has already started, and most haven't even noticed. Let's look at that more closely now. Imagine a woman going into labor. At first, the contractions come slowly, almost unnoticed, but over time, they grow more frequent, more intense, and more painful. That's exactly the analogy Jesus uses in Matthew 24:8. But all these things are the beginning of sorrows. And what are these things? Wars, famines, earthquakes, plagues. They're not the end, they're the start of the end. And here's where many people get it wrong. They expect a cinematic apocalypse, when in reality, the process has already begun gradually. The end doesn't arrive with a bang, but with a rhythm. And that rhythm is already beating. We're seeing this happen right before our eyes. The frequency of tragedies is alarming. Think about the past few years. Global pandemics, climate disasters, armed conflicts, food shortages across nations. This isn't coincidence. It's a prophetic pattern. And when pain becomes constant, it's a sign that something greater is about to be born. The world isn't simply going through a tough phase. It's groaning like a woman about to give birth. And many are plugging their ears to avoid hearing the screams. This beginning of sorrows also shows up in the emotional and psychological realm. The rise of anxiety, depression, and panic isn't just clinical, it's spiritual. The world's pain is hitting the body, the mind, and the soul. And the most interesting part, Jesus already told us this would be just the beginning, not the end. That changes everything. It changes how we read the news, how we interpret personal crises, and especially how we position ourselves spiritually in this scenario. Here's something practical. When you notice the labor pains increasing in your life or in the world, take it as a reminder that time is short. Instead of feeding your fear, feed your faith. Increase your prayer time, fast for discernment, and read faith-strengthening books like The Pilgrim's Progress or Understanding Bible Prophecy. If the world is in labor, the church must be in preparation. It's time to clean house, align your heart, and put your hands on the plow. And if this is just the beginning, imagine what comes next. What happens when spiritual pain spreads, not just through the world, but inside the churches themselves? We're about to step into a danger that's not visible, but far more destructive. Perhaps the most subtle, and at the same time, most devastating sign of the end times is this: the cooling of love. Jesus wasn't talking about romantic love, but the kind that makes us truly human, the kind that leads us to care, to empathize, to forgive. When that love grows cold, something far more serious happens. We lose the essence of the gospel. Look around you. How many broken relationships, friendships torn apart by pride, families destroyed by selfishness. This spiritual coldness doesn't appear all at once. It sneaks in quietly, like a draft of cold air slipping through the cracks of a house. This cooling happens when lawlessness, the normalization of sin, multiplies. The trivialization of wrongdoing creates an environment where no one cares anymore. Take cancel culture, for example. It's a clear symptom. People discarded like trash over one mistake, one opinion, one failure. We live in a society where forgiveness looks weak, where empathy seems outdated. And the worst part? This coldness has crept into churches, members competing with each other, leaders consumed by vanity, fellowship reduced to a social event. When Jesus said the love of many would grow cold, he gave us a spiritual thermometer. It doesn't matter if there are signs in the sky, if there's no warmth left in the heart. So, how do we rekindle that love? Start small. Call someone you know is lonely. Write a letter, yes, a real letter, to someone who impacted your life. Give something without expecting anything in return. These acts are spiritual blankets. They warm not just others, but you as well. And more than that, they fight back against this cold, disposable culture we're living in. The danger of this cooling is that it doesn't sound alarming, like a war or an earthquake. It's silent, imperceptible, and that's exactly what makes it deadly. Have you ever wondered why so many people feel empty, even when surrounded by others? It's because love has become performance instead of essence. The cooling doesn't happen from the outside in. It starts in the soul. And when the soul goes cold, it stops reacting. It stops dreaming, fighting, believing. That's why this sign is so critical. It robs our humanity before it robs our faith. And if love is being traded for indifference, what else is being distorted in the name of religion? Let's now dive into an even more dangerous reality: spiritual manipulation disguised as truth. Ready for it? Jesus, with all his prophetic authority, repeated more than once in Matthew 24 that many would come in his name, claiming to be the Christ or speaking on his behalf. This wasn't an exaggeration. He knew the size of the danger that would come disguised as spirituality. And here lies the great trap. It's not atheists who confuse the church. It's false Christians, people with the appearance of godliness, who use Bible verses as slogans, but behind their sweet words hide ambition, manipulation, and twisted doctrines. Spiritual deception doesn't come with horns. It comes wearing a suit, holding a microphone, and flashing a charming smile. If you take a look around today, the scene is disturbing. Leaders exploiting people's faith to gain influence, fame, or money. Doctrines that put man at the center and treat God like a celestial servant ready to fulfill our every whim. Words like declare, decree, or demand are being thrown around, when in truth, the biblical posture is surrender, reverence, and obedience. Even miracles are used as bait, but not every miracle comes from God. The Bible is clear. The enemy also performs signs. Just like digital fake news, religious deception spreads fast because it feeds people's vanity and desire for easy answers. That's why discernment has become one of the most urgent tools in a Christian's spiritual arsenal. Read the Bible for yourself. Pray deeply. Question every teaching in light of the scriptures. It's not optional, it's vital. Need a good place to start? Read the book of Jude. Yes, the one in the Bible, not the traitor. It's short, direct, and speaks exactly about false teachers. Follow trustworthy channels, study theology with humility, and always pray for the Holy Spirit to reveal the truth. Because not everything that shines from a pulpit comes from heaven. What's even more shocking is that many of these false teachers aren't always acting with malicious intent. Some are so blinded by ego and success that they don't even realize how far they've strayed. That's the thing about spiritual deception. It looks like truth. And that's why God's word must be your filter. Without it, any eloquent speech can become doctrine. And when truth is diluted, faith becomes fragile, vulnerable to every new trend or revelation. It's like building your house on quicksand. One storm, and it all comes crashing down. And if even faith can be counterfeited, then what's the one sign that proves we're truly living in the end times? There's a sign clearer and more direct than most realize. And it's happening right now as we speak. The next topic will show you what it is. Amid so many apocalyptic signs, there's one that Jesus highlighted as the key piece: the global preaching of the gospel. He said clearly, "Then the end will come." No parables, no metaphors, just straight truth. And it's amazing how so many people overlook this while obsessing over catastrophes. The truth is that the spread of the gospel to the ends of the earth isn't just a detail, it's a prophetic countdown clock. And with every video, live stream, translated sermon, or Bible app, we're witnessing that prophecy being fulfilled in real time. Today, platforms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and even artificial intelligence are taking the word to places missionaries could never physically reach. The Bible has already been translated into over 3,000 languages. Never before have so many people had access to the gospel with just a few clicks. Think about it. You're watching or reading this right now. And without realizing it, you're part of the fulfillment of Matthew 24:14. This isn't just content, it's living prophecy. It's as if heaven is using every pixel to shout, "Get ready." That's why you must not underestimate the power of what you share. A video can reach someone in Japan, Africa, or the Brazilian outback. And more than likes or views, what's at stake is the eternity of souls. Here's something practical. When this video ends, share it with someone specific: a friend, a relative, a neighbor. Pray before you send it. Ask God to touch that person's heart. That's mission. That's being part of the Watchman. Today's pulpit isn't just on a church stage. It's in the palm of your hand. And the most impressive part? Even with all this accessibility to the Word, many people live as if it doesn't exist. The gospel has never been so available, yet also so ignored. This shows us that the problem was never lack of information. It's the absence of spiritual hunger. That's why those who hunger and thirst for righteousness must rise as voices, whether through videos, podcasts, posts, prayer groups, or simply by living as an example. The world is listening. The question is, what are you saying? And if the preaching is advancing at such a rapid pace, what does that tell us about how close the end really is? What happens after the warning has already been given? What comes next is more serious than many are prepared to face. And it's exactly what Jesus called his final alert. Jesus closes his prophetic sermon with a shift in tone. If earlier he spoke of signs in the world, now he speaks of urgency and separation. It's as if he's saying, "You've been warned, now be ready." When he says, "Let the one in the field not go back to get his cloak," he's talking about total detachment, readiness, no looking back. Because when the decisive moment comes, what you've already prepared will be what sustains you. And the most shocking detail, this warning isn't for unbelievers, it's for the disciples, for those already following him. In other words, judgment begins with the house of God. This means we can't afford to play church anymore. Jesus is saying clearly that in the final days, everything must be in order. You know that saying, "Don't leave for tomorrow what you can do today"? It has never been more relevant. Many are waiting for dramatic signs to pursue holiness, but the truth is, those who wait too long lose the chance. Life with God isn't about emotion in a worship service. It's about consistency in obedience. And at that moment, the cloak, that thing you thought was important, must be left behind. What really matters is being light, ready, and with a pure heart. Let's make this practical. Re-evaluate your priorities. Cut off what's tying you to the world. Organize your spiritual routine with seriousness. Start your day reading the Bible, not as a dry habit, but as someone receiving orders from the commander before battle. meditate on 1 Peter 4:17 to 19 and ask yourself, am I living like someone ready to depart? Swap songs that feed the flesh for worship that lifts the spirit. Let go of habits you've been calling weaknesses and start calling them what they are, snares. Because in times like this, a snare is a trap. The language Jesus uses here is one of total urgency. It's the kind of urgency we see in flood warnings, emergency sirens, or evacuation orders. There's no time to pack bags or grab documents. Spiritually, there's no more time for gradual adjustments. It's all or nothing. It's active watchfulness, heightened alertness. Because when the collapse comes, and it will come, there'll be no more time to prepare. Only what's already been done in secret will remain. Your private altar will speak for you. And if this final warning was given directly to believers, then maybe the true secret of Matthew 24 isn't in the events themselves, but in the pattern. Something already unfolding, not with a loud crash, but with a silent, dangerous, and very real progression. Let's unlock that secret now. Now is the time to look inward. Now that the ignored secret of Matthew 24 has been revealed, you need to decide what you're going to do with this knowledge. Will you keep living as if everything is going to stay the same, or will you take your place as a spiritual watchman? Remember, the signs are not coming. They are already happening. And the pattern Jesus revealed is as clear as day. The world is groaning, and the word is spreading to the ends of the earth. Time is not running out. It's already up for those who are spiritually asleep. Have you noticed how hard it is to tell the holy from the profane these days? Have you felt your faith growing cold and love slowly being replaced by indifference? That's not a sign of weakness. It's part of the battle of the last days. But now that you understand what lies behind Christ's words, it's time to act. Consecrate yourself. Seek more. Pray with intention. Ask yourself daily, if Jesus returned today, would he find me watching? Leave a comment below. Do you also feel like time is running out? Your testimony might be what wakes someone else up. And if this video stirred your heart, like it, share it, and subscribe to the channel. That simple action can help spread the truth to more people and make you part of the prophetic fulfillment we've just studied. This channel exists to be a watchtower, a voice in the midst of chaos, calling people back to the narrow path. Turn on notifications, because in the upcoming videos, we're going